Something Wicked This Way Comes, 1962, is a horror novel by Ray Bradbury, a renowned American science fiction author. The story follows two young boys, Will Halloway and Jim Nightshade, whose lives are upended when a mysterious carnival arrives in their small town just before Halloween. Drawing from his own Midwestern roots, Bradbury explores themes of good and evil, the fear of aging and death, and the unsettling journey from childhood to adulthood. The novel is the second in Bradbury's Greentown trilogy, set in the same fictional town as Dandelion Wine, 1957, but with no overlap in characters. It stands alone as a story, independent of the first book, despite sharing a setting. The narrative begins on October 24th, when a lightning rod salesman warns 13-year-old Will and Jim of an impending storm, giving them a lightning rod for Jim's house. Although Jim is thrilled by the danger, he reluctantly installs the rod. Later, the boys visit the library where Will's father, Charles Halloway, works as a janitor. Charles is a man haunted by his lost youth, and like Will, he is wary of the approaching carnival, Cooger and Dark's Pandemonium shadow show that is due to arrive the next day. Jim, however, is eager for its arrival. At 3 a.m., the carnival train rolls into town, and the boys sneak out to watch as it mysteriously materializes in front of them. The next day, they explore the carnival and meet their teacher, Miss Foley, who becomes entranced in the mirror maze until the boys pull her out. That night, while investigating further, Will and Jim encounter one of the carnival's owners, Mr. Cooger, who grabs them and claims the merry-go-round is broken. His partner, Mr. Dark, covered in eerie tattoos, intervenes and lets the boys go, inviting them back the next day. Intrigued, Jim is drawn to Mr. Dark, but the boys decide to hide and watch instead. They witness Mr. Cooger ride the carousel as it moves backward, magically transforming him into a 12-year-old boy. The boys follow the young Mr. Cooger, who poses as Miss Foley's nephew. When they try to warn her, he frames them for theft, leading to a frantic chase back to the carnival. Jim, who longs to be older, is tempted to ride the carousel himself, but Will sabotages the machine, causing Mr. Cooger to age rapidly into an old man. The boys flee, and when they return with the police, Mr. Cooger is nowhere to be found. They eventually discover Mr. Cooger in the carnival's freak tent, transformed into the new act, Mr. Electrico, a seemingly lifeless figure charged with electricity. Once again, Mr. Dark instructs the boys to return the next day and hands them free ride tickets. Meanwhile, the Dust Witch, another sinister carnival member, flies through the night in a balloon, searching for Jim and Will. She marks their house to signal the carnival, but the boys manage to wash it away. Will then tricks the witch into following him to an abandoned house, where he successfully destroys her balloon. The next day, they come across a newly child-aged Miss Foley, weeping beneath a tree. She pleads for their help, but vanishes before they can assist her. As the carnival parades through town in search of Will and Jim, the boys hide under a sewer grate. Will's father, Charles, notices their hiding place and becomes increasingly anxious and confused. When Mr. Dark approaches and asks Charles if he has seen the boys, Charles feigns ignorance but notes the disturbing tattoos of Will and Jim etched onto Mr. Dark's palms. The Dust Witch also arrives, sensing the boys' presence, but Charles cleverly uses cigar smoke to disorient her, forcing her and Mr. Dark to leave. That night, the boys meet Charles at the library, where he has been researching the carnival's history, hoping to devise a plan. However, Mr. Dark soon arrives. The boys hide while Mr. Dark offers Charles a tempting deal, the chance to use the age-reversing carousel. Charles declines, and in retaliation, Mr. Dark crushes his hand and uncovers the boys. The Dust Witch hypnotizes Will and Jim, and as she prepares to kill Charles, he suddenly bursts into uncontrollable laughter. His laughter causes the witch immense pain, driving her away in agony. Mr. Dark captures Will and Jim and takes them back to the carnival, with Charles in pursuit, determined to save them. At the carnival, Mr. Dark hides the boys behind the mirror maze, then stages a performance. Charles volunteers for an act where he is supposed to shoot the witch with a harmless bullet. However, Charles carves a smile into the bullet, which magically empowers it, killing the Dust Witch. Charles then frees Will and destroys the mirror maze using the power of his laughter. Now, father and son race to find Jim, who has run to the merry-go-round and begun riding it forward in time to become older. Will desperately tries to stop him, and both boys end up on the carousel. Will manages to jump off, pulling Jim with him, but Jim crashes to the ground, lifeless. A child-aged Mr. Dark soon appears, pretending to be an innocent boy named Jed. However, Charles sees through the ruse and kills Mr. Dark by embracing him with compassion, as the villain cannot endure love and mercy. As the carnival disintegrates, Will and Charles revive Jim through laughter, singing, and dancing, their joy bringing him back to life. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.